Guys, welcome out. Columbus DJ Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Episode 28. We've been doing this since right when COVID happened. We really enjoy talking to all the DJs and just kind of, meeting new DJs, catching up with, friends that we haven't seen that we're not able to play with right now. So we really appreciate you guys coming on here.
Absolutely. And we're here with DISCOGNITION and DOMINIC PARISI. So big shout out to our guests for coming out today. Thank you so much. It's going to be a solid episode. We're going to talk about some club stuff, going to talk about some producer stuff, moving in both cases. And I want to get right into it. And Chad, you're my boy, but I kind of want to start with Dominic just because I know him just a little bit less. So Dominic, if you kind of give us your story and tell us who you are.
Oh man, how much time you got? See, I haven't had enough to drink yet to get too philosophical with you. So I'll keep it like as simple as possible. So my name is Dominic Parisi. My real name also is Dominic Parisi. Made choosing a DJ name kind of easy, or lazy, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it. But I've been playing. I just had a birthday this weekend. I turned 32.
Happy birthday, man!
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, feeling good. My mom came in town. Her and I share the same birthday, so that was cool. So we had a ball, and being in Columbus too, she enjoyed like bopping around seeing it. But I've been playing a long time, man. I guess kind of the 30,000 foot view of it is when I was like 18, 19, I was at Akron U and then transferred to Kent State. Kent State's really where I cut my teeth. I started out on, I don't know if you guys remember, like, what was it called, man? Not virtual DJ. It was some sort of that prior to, but I had like 2 virtual decks on the laptop screen, right? Didn't know a thing about anything. Like at the time, it was just back to back to back to back. But I was in a fraternity, and I got there was a guy who was playing in Kent, who saw me at a party because the girls would have me just come in and play music. Like I said, I didn't really know what I was doing. And he saw me at a party, and he came up, he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "You're terrible." He's like, but the records here, like the stuff you're playing is good, but you are terrible, like that kind of thing. So he, his name was Darren. He's out in Vegas now, still a good buddy of mine, but he had 2 1200s and a 57. And that's kind of how I started. Was on Control Vinyl and Scratch Live at the time. Ended up getting my own controller. I was playing a lot of hip hop back then, like 18, 19. I was really into like mixtape Wayne and Jeezy, and like that's just like kind of what I came up on. So it's, I suppose, more battle style in that sense. I didn't really get into house records until a little bit later. But I picked up a residency at a club in Kent, and at that point, that's really what started to shape, like musical tastes and things I was doing and what I was interested in. I got linked up with now who is one of my best friend in the whole world. His name is Evan Evolution. James, Evan really well. Actually, Mike, you probably do too. Chad, you guys probably all know.
Yeah.
So Evan and I linked up way back when, think like 2010, something like that. And, he was making fun of me because at the time I had like a jumpsuit on or something. I don't know like what I was doing or who I thought I was, man. But he's like, no. He's like, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you some different stuff and music. So he had CDJs. He was really into dance music, and I didn't know a ton about it. Funny story. I right around like 2010, I don't know if it was 2010, 2011, but Paul Van Dyke was playing a show at, it wasn't the Bluestone. James, help me out. But was it Boma?
Boma.
So that was one of the first shows that I had gone to that wasn't like, hip hop top 40, like that kind of thing. And I remember going like, holy shit, this is like next level. I just never seen anything like it. And that really like shaped the rest of my, call it career, call it whatever, interests. Because that's when I started, picked up some more residencies, started playing in Cleveland. We did a lot of shows at Liquid and I linked up with the Forward guys, the Barley guys, or not the Barley guys, the Forward guys. And they had some properties there and here. So I think really that kind of golden era of dance music, so like people referred to like 9, 10, 11, 12, that was really kind of fundamental to what shaped the rest of my interests and time as I got older, you know, and that hasn't really changed much. Anyways, that cover it mostly?
Yeah.
Tell us, man. I'm loving hearing about it. It's funny because you're saying, oh, we probably, you know, been in the same room together right when we started, because I don't know you that well. But yeah, I was at that Paul Van Dyke show as well. I took my sister to her first EDM show for her birthday when she was in town. She didn't like it nearly as much as you or I did, but I tried, right? I tried to show her the light. And I just want to know, you mentioned Ultra in the pre-show as well. You know, James, myself, Chad, all love music festivals. Is like kind of give us a rundown of your favorite music festivals and which ones you attend regularly.
Yeah, so I have kind of two different answers. I was really fortunate because I've gotten to play a couple of them,
Dope.
Which have like really been highlights for me. I got to play SMF, like Sunset Music Festival down in Tampa. You know, when I got linked up with Evan and the disco guys, it was like, you know, I was so fortunate that they were able to like send some opportunities my way. And then Something Wicked was a really fun one too. That was down in Texas. That was cool because, you know, you could be fans of artists, but also fans of, you know, photographers and media people. And I got like my first pictures like back when by Rooks. And like, that was a big deal for me to have like pictures that had, you know, like Rooks's branding on a thing. So like those festivals, as far as like how close they are to my heart, like those are really impactful because I just remember thinking like, you know, I am playing at 1:30 p.m. gates open, but it's still main stage, you know? So like, that was a really cool, that was a cool experience. I like won't forget those. But as far as like ones I like to go to, you know, WMC is really special to me because actually this most recent year I went, we ended up not even going to the festival at all, but that's because we spent so much time with, you talk to people in the industry all year long. And sometimes that's the only time you get to see them in person, you know, and everyone's kind of off work. You know, you're working, right, but you're all together. So those are really fun. And, you know, it's not, when else do I get to see like J-Tech play, you know, at an Anjuna party, you know, in a warehouse, and then 4 hours later go to Shaq's Funhouse, you know, and then, and then go see Liquid Tot. Like that experience is very cool because you're constantly changing venues too. But I think probably my most fond memories were from Tomorrow World Year 1 in Atlanta.
Ooh, you were there. I was there too. That's crazy.
Man, that was, you know, we're live on Facebook right now, so I'm sure I have like friends and family looking, but I can tell you, like, that was
I already know, bro.
That was a really special time. Yeah.
I have a bunch of questions, but I do want to go to Discognition for your intro. Same thing. Just tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so name's Discognition. My real name is Chad Vasquez. Columbus, you probably know me better as Black Rabbit, to be honest, from back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, raised in Columbus pretty much all my life. I got my career started kind of down in Athens, Ohio. I went to Ohio University. I was a freshman there in 2009. I've always been into electronic music, and the start of it was back. I mean, I'm a super nerd. I'm a big gamer, and I used to play Dance Dance Revolution all the time.
Nice.
And dude, I'd be like, yo, what is this track? You know, let me listen to this, run this back for 2 minutes and play some DDR just so I can hear this track again. Yeah, I got my DJ career started in 2010. One of the Ohio greats, DJ B-Funk, he and a buddy Dave, they started Dave Rave down in Athens. And I went to my very first Dave Rave as just a spectator who I'd never really been to a quote unquote rave or a show really. And after seeing Brandon and Dave play music that I've always loved but had never really gotten to see live, I was like, yo, I want to do that. Like, how do I do that? And I see him up behind the decks, and I just introduced myself. And Brandon kind of taught me a lot about what it means to be a DJ, and how I could get my career started. I think I don't know a lot of people like this, but I've actually been producing music longer than I've ever been DJing.
Nice.
I was producing music back on Fruity Loops 5 in like 2007, and it wasn't good, but it was a start. And then I was like, you know what? If I become a DJ, I can start actually playing my own music out. Hopefully one day, and maybe some people can look up and see, hey, I want to do that, what that guy's doing. So, but yeah, recently moved to Los Angeles 2 years ago, and living life out there. It's obviously been rough during this pandemic, but I miss Columbus. Obviously, I'll always have love for Columbus. This is my hometown. And I'm here now. I drove 2,300 miles.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
you
wow.
drove?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
bro.
drove. So I'd never gotten to see the Colorado mountains or anything like that. So
That's cool.
we drove out and got to see the mountains. It was cold as hell, through Colorado and Kansas actually. And then we pulled into Columbus, and I saw rain for the first time in 8 months, and that was
Oh
nice.
man.
So yeah, but I used to be a trap, dubstep, bass music producer and DJ, and I kind of transitioned. And we can get into that later, but I'm mainly doing progressive house, deep house, and trance at this point. So
We have a bunch of respect for B Funk and what he's done in Athens and getting a lot of those DJs together and teaching them. So are you one of those guys that would like stand behind me? Like I would go to the Dance Dance Revolution and like just try it out and like put it on basic. Are you that guy that's like right behind me waiting their turn because like you're just like what the hell, man? This guy's a rookie.
dude, it's funny. I used to go to the Magic Mountain on like Bryce Road.
That's my spot. I
Yes,
love that
dude.
place.
I used to go there, and my grandpa would always take me, and I would sit there, and I was probably like 11 or 12 doing it, and I got a little bit older, and I started doing the tournaments at OhioCon and shit, dude. It was so crazy, but it was
So
fun.
yeah, nobody's going to Magic Mountain anymore. So I haven't seen you play a ton, but I know I've caught a couple of your Black Rabbit sets back in the day, and I remember seeing your name pop up all the types of flyers. But what would you say is one of your favorite Columbus sets that you've played?
Um, Honestly, one of my favorite Columbus sets that I played was way back in the day. It was an opening set. Um, and I opened for Dylan Francis at Sugar Bar 2.
Yep,
And I think like Giovanni was on that
Dylan
show.
Francis was sick.
Dude.
He
And
showed up sick as hell. I remember that.
he was. And I won that like Prime Social Group contest to get to open for Dylan Francis. And I was like just this dude from Athens that no one in Columbus had really heard of yet. And I came down and did my opening set and was like starstruck because I was a huge Dylan Francis fan, and like that was probably like for me that's the biggest stage in Columbus that I had really played on at that point. Had some pretty awesome shows after that, but Dylan Francis was like the one in Columbus where I was like, yo, I can't believe I'm on this show. This is awesome.
That was an awesome show. I
Yeah.
remember that. Switch over to Dominic real quick. I mean, dude, like I met you through Lindsay and Kenny and all them, I think. And, we were just having good times at social. Next thing you know, I'm at Liquid watching you open for big names. I forget what the first one is. Do you remember? It was a trance show.
Yeah, I think it was Marcus Schultz. Does that sound right?
Sounds about right, yeah.
He's always in town.
And I just remember how awesome your set was, and then the lasers were going, and we hadn't really had that type of show in Columbus yet, at least for me. I was still with CGS group and stuff. So you're doing that, and then as I started following you more, I was watching you just low key rock these Kent State parties all the time, and everybody's loving you. I mean, I saw it on social media. Like I feel like Kent State really helped you, brand yourself and get your name out there and get you more bookings. Would you say that's true?
Oh, 100%, man. And I got to be honest, it wasn't, not just Ken. I really have to show some love to the Greek community too, because I think had I not been a Sigma Nu and then subsequently not been linked up or plugged in with the other fraternities who we all had love for and the sororities, you know, that becomes like a pretty big circle of support pretty quickly, you know?
Absolutely.
And then that can really manifest into like attention from places outside of those circles. So I'm super fortunate, man. Super fortunate.
Love it. Mike, you got anything?
Yeah, actually, I had a question for Black Rabbit. So Corrupt asked you about what maybe one of your favorite Columbus event was. Unfortunately, I was there for probably one of your worst ones, but I think it's a good learning experience for DJs. Do you know which event I'm talking about?
Is this the thump where my laptop crashed?
Yes. And I remember this. I remember this because we've been having some debate, not debate, we've just been talking about, laptop versus flash drives, specifically DJ Duct Tape and I were talking about, he's thinking about making the flip from laptop to flash drives. Mm-hmm. And I just want you to tell that story as you remember it, because you went to flash drives that day, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, man. So I kind of taught myself how to DJ within Ableton Live. I wasn't using CDJs. I hadn't really used CDJs a whole lot. I messed around on B-Funk's, rig every now and then. But, I had my laptop and I had Ableton open. But Brandon told me, he's like, dude, you need a flash drive with, some music. If that shit ever crashes, you're going to be out of luck. And you don't want to be that guy that's like, whoa, my laptop crashed. Guess I can't play. So, I was at Thump back when it was at Circus.
Yep.
And,
Thump was popping too, isn't it?
Yeah, man. And sure enough, about 15 minutes into my set, laptop just goes blank. Everything just like, I still have that laptop and it still works. Not well. It still turns off every now and then.
Is it a Mac?
Yeah, it's a 2009 MacBook Pro, man.
Get yourself a PC, bro.
Damn.
Yeah.
It made the switch.
It crashed and, I pulled my flash drive out of my pocket, went over there, plugged it into the CDJs. No cue points set, nothing. I just had some music on there that I was like, you know what, I guess I'll play these. And, I finished out my set and I remember walking over to Mike and he goes, dude, I don't know why you didn't just start that way. He's like, you should have just came and played with a flash drive. And honestly, ever since then, that day I stopped DJing on Ableton and I use my flash drive, whenever applicable to DJ at this point. So.
And I'm not just bringing up that story just to be like, oh, that was a bad moment, because honestly, it was a dope moment because if I'm being honest, the first 15 minutes of the set, I was rocking. I was like, all right, cool. This is Black Rabbit. But for some reason, like afterwards, I feel like you really turned it up a notch. And there's a lot of DJs who their laptop's going to crash on them and they're going to, it's really going to affect their psyche or the way they're going to spin or anything like that and really kind of derail them. And you came back and I thought you came back stronger. Maybe it's just, the music that you had on there was more to my taste or whatever. But, just kind of a shout out, or not a shout out, but a lesson for DJs. Like technical difficulties are going to happen. I don't care whether you're streaming. I don't care whether you have it on a flash drive. I don't care, what happened. At some point, a sorority girl is going to come over and spill a drink on the mixer. It's just going to happen at some point. And you got to be ready for that, to, have a backup plan in place and then, rock the party like nothing ever happened. Yeah.
Yeah. That was definitely a good experience for me. That's the equivalent of somebody not knowing how to swim, getting thrown into the lake, and I just, it was sink or swim and, sounds like I swam. So
yeah, right.
Mike, that's why I switched, by the way.
I remember.
I had a drink spill at Sugar Bar too. And then, it's funny because I was still doing open format and I was one of the first people that I knew doing open format sets on a USB. I got so much shit for it. And now you see all these DJs starting to make the switch.
Yeah.
I may have been talking to Duct Tape and said that you are one of the top DJs on flash drives, open format, not just in the state, but that I've seen, period, man. Like you're quick with it. You got your stuff set up. Like it's
just about knowing your flash drive, your playlists, where you can find stuff, basically.
Man, you know what it was, honestly, when as far as open format sets go, when Pioneer released the 2000 Nexus 2s, and you could search with a QWERTY keyboard on the touch screen, that was a game changer.
Agreed.
Because when you weren't using that touch strip to find records if you needed something,
Correct.
it was totally different. When those dropped, everything changed. That was like done. Never, laptops going in the bag, never coming out again.
And then also like your search speed, depending on your loaded history through Rekordbox, is huge. Like if you're going to spend either 1% of the time, or like if you've never played a track before, you've never opened a playlist, or it's a brand new USB, it's going to take like minutes, like a long time to load.
Yeah.
Dominic, Justin Nice came on the show earlier in the year and was talking about the Beach Boys, and I understand that that's a project that you guys do. So talk about the Beach Boys and your involvement and what you bring to the group, if you could.
Yeah, man. You know, it's funny. This what happens when you have one too many cocktails when you're at a party and you come up with a name for a side project. You know what, Justin first and foremost, let me say, like, as far as raw talent, turntablism, knowledge of music, like top. I mean, this guy, he is a monster. He is a beast. So we started. He's one. The reason I say that is because he's one of these guys that you could never play a show with him, and he could be on one night. I use Forward as an example. Have you been to Forward, Mike?
I haven't yet, man. It's on my list.
So it's a cool, like, you know, James plays there. Like, James,
well.
You could attest, it's a really cool outdoor space. You can get in your groove. You can play all kinds of stuff. Like, it's big room, but it's also like your people that are there, you know. So it's like a really special space. But he's one of these guys that you can go and he could be on, and he could be like, hey, do you want to tag? And you can get in a groove right away. Like there's no learning curve. And that's kind of what happened is I had a few shows booked. He had a few shows booked. He was there. And we started tagging, like doing some fun stuff. And, you know, next thing I know, we're playing shows together. You know, we actually just announced, I don't know if you saw it, we announced Major Lazer. He and I are going to play Major Lazer next Thursday.
Oh,
and that's nice. Like the first one since Haunted Fest. And I'm huge fan of Major Lazer, whether or not you like that type of music, like international superstars. So we're, you know, it's one of those where I'm like, oh God, I got a week. You know, if you can play for 15 years when you're opening for someone like that, you're still like, oh, I better get this right. Cause this is like, you know, but you know, as far as the project goes, you know, at the moment we're fortunate that we're getting asked to play some stuff. We have a lot of fun when we're doing it. And with Seesaw being down here, we have more of an opportunity now to work together and do some stuff. It was always a little bit hard when I was up in Cleveland and he was here. And of course the pandemic hit, but I feel like we're hitting a groove again. That's why I'm pretty excited about the show that we just announced, because it's kind of the first thing that's come up in truthfully what feels like a year, you know, since things started to go awry, you know.
And do you guys have an agent that represents you both, or someone just hit up Justin Nice or you?
Oh no, yeah, no, I've never had it. I've never had an agent, never had a manager. You know, I always kind of felt like I could handle the volume, you know, and I never was someone who I felt was getting, probably not a good thing to say on a DJ podcast, but you know, I'm not getting booked so much that I can't handle the volume or be taking care of it myself. But yeah, we just, you know, I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but you know, as far as I'm concerned, there are a lot of DJs who are very, very talented. But one of the things that I've learned over the years is that the relationships are paramount. You know, the talent becomes boilerplate. You have to be able to play well. You have to have musical knowledge. You have to, you know, be able to do your own edits here and there. But being a good person and being easy to work with, and people, quite frankly, liking you, like that goes a long way when like these gigs and opportunities come up, you know.
Absolutely.
Not being like too Hollywood, I guess is like what I'm trying to say, you know.
100%.
We're just up here pushing buttons, playing other people's music. And sometimes you got to remember that.
Yeah.
Chad, I wanted to ask you, man, you went from Black Rabbit to Discognition when you went to California. What was the reasoning for the name change? And then are you keeping Black Rabbit on reserve for any, summer beach house type of projects that, that name is known for?
So I actually started Discognition about a year before I moved. So it was just about 3 years ago. I actually saw in my Facebook memories I had posted like, "Oh, I'm dropping my first EP as Discognition," which was a self-release. But the transition there was it was interesting. I've always been into trance, progressive house, melodic progressive house. But that side of me that loved bass music and trap and dubstep, that was what was really popular in Ohio, and that was kind of where I leaned towards in production because those were the types of shows that were being booked. For every trance artist playing in Columbus, there's 10 bass music artists.
Sure.
So I was like, I kind of want to, stay in that market and not typecast myself into the trance. And I was playing more trance. You obviously started Trance Tuesday, and that was always a blast. And I looked forward to that every time you guys did it because I was like, yes, this is the one time a month I'll get my trance fix. But after that, I opened for Lane 8 at Park Street Saloon. And that was like a life-changing show for me because I was like, man, this is what I should be doing. And I'll be honest, I was kind of chasing I don't even know what was popular at the time. And I was trying to make some music that I just, my heart wasn't in it. And I was catching myself like making future bass, which is a lot more melodic. You have those power chords and things like that. And then I was like, you know what, dude? Like, you like trance, you like melodic progressive house. You can't have both under one alias. You just can't, because people, when they see Black Rabbit on the lineup, they're like, I'm going to get some hard ass trap music, some hard dubstep. And then I go up there and I'm playing like, beach house, melodic house, some summer vibe stuff. And they're like, what the hell is this? And so I decided to separate the two. And Black Rabbit is not dead. I still like to play that heavy trap, that heavy bass music. And actually, when I was playing House Night at Dahlia, that was a blast playing, some of the bass house and the house that I was doing there. But the transition to Discognition has been awesome. It's a whole different section of music that I've always loved, that summer vibes, beach type of stuff, and I'm actually getting into more, upbeat trance, the 130 progressive styles. So that transition is happening, and it's still going. But to everybody who asks me if Black Rabbit's ever going to come back, yeah, I think so. I'm just kind of focused on building this other brand in tandem, and it's hard to have two aliases with two completely different genres. It's been difficult, but it's been rewarding at the same time.
Chad, I feel like, real quick, Mike, I just feel like every producer, or at least like 80% of producers, go through that progression of trying to figure out what they want to do, what's best for a career move, what inspires you, because if you truly love all kinds of music, it's really difficult because you want to make one thing, you hear one song, you get super inspired, but it's not supposed to be the direction you're supposed to go. And so you have two names that you can produce under. I've had this in my back of my head for myself so many times, but I just didn't do it. So I really love that you did that and made a move. But like you said, man, like there's a lot of bass DJs in Columbus. There's a lot of house DJs in Columbus. And, trance is one of those things that everyone loves, but it's just not, Columbus isn't known for trance.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we throw a show, it's just, it's like everyone's enjoys it, but it's just you're not going to see as many trance shows as you are, trap, tech house, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big shout out to Bobby Boucher. He's watching on Twitch and apparently told me to turn my microphone up. Guys, if there's something that you want us to do, just let us know. So I definitely turn that up for you guys. Hopefully it sounds good. And congratulations to Bobby Boucher for being nominated for, I think it's Best DJ in Cleveland, Ohio. Forget the magazine name, but I definitely saw that. So
Cleveland Scene,
Cleveland
man,
Scene.
Bobby.
Yes.
Congrats, yeah.
One of your Cleveland homies up here. So a big shout out to everybody watching, but especially Bobby Boucher for doing that. And then Dominic, I wanted to head over to you. You are opening up for Major Lazer with Justin Nice next week. I wanted to know, you've opened for big name artists before. What does your prep look like? And maybe what was your favorite opening set? And then, oh wow, I almost called you Black Rabbit. Chad, I want to go over to you as well, just to ask you the same thing. Like, what was it like prepping for Lane 8 and some of the other shows that you opened to? But let's start with Dominic.
Yeah, you know what? Before I get to it, I got two things. The first thing is you guys have. I don't mean to seem weird, like I keep reaching down, but I got a little one who keeps bothering me. So
oh my God,
I love puppies on the podcast.
Yeah. So she's been bothering me. Forgive me. Second thing is, Bobby. Shout out Bobby Boucher. He was one of the first people. He might have been the first person to wish me happy birthday this weekend. So
wow.
You can't fake that kind of thoughtfulness. So shout out Bobby. As far as like as artists go, it's been really interesting for me over the years, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this later. But when we first started doing shows at Liquid, the process was different for me, kind of than it is now. And I don't know if it had to do with like experience or age or comfortability, or there's like a certain amount of there's like an awe factor or something, but like it changed for me. So very early on, when we were bringing these guys through, like Paul Oakenfold, Paul Van Dyke, Marcus Schulz, the Eric Prydz, I got to open for Eric Prydz, like all like these guys who you kind of come up listening to, and they're really well established, international musicians. The way that I would open for them was I would always err on the side of, and I still do, but especially then err on the side of, I have to make sure that I am as respectful as possible. And those guys really come from a time where you build the night, you build the night, you build the night, you build the night. Even if you're playing like, if you're bringing, so you're open for Above and Beyond, you might be playing like really deep mid-tempo progressive records at Doors Open, like something that's shot. But that mentality was a little bit different then, and the reason I say this is because as the years went on and as the acts changed that I opened for, so you start out, and I brought them up for a reason, like Paul Oakenfold, but Paul Van Dyke, like all those guys, they come from like a different time, but then, when you get to Forward, I was opening for guys like, Loud Luxury or Breathe Carolina or Cash or Sam Feld and Two Friends and like all these guys. And they're, closer in age, where they were listening to them like we were, right? They just had like they had a few hit records and got big. But what changed that I noticed was I would be with them pre-show and I'd be like, hey guys, like, what do you want me to avoid? What is there anything that you need me to be aware of? And they'd be like, just, hey, make sure it's rocking when I get on, so it was like a distinct difference in mentality with some of the guys now, as opposed to the guys like 10, 15 years ago. I'm not saying to younger DJs watching this to kill it by any means, but what I mean is like, think really hard about who it is you're opening for. And the overarching lesson for me was like, if you can talk to them ahead of time, be prepared for a variety of situations. I think some of the guys that I opened for would have been pissed if they got on and the crowd was kind of sleepy, especially at a nightclub. But the flip side of that was, when you're opening for like Prydz, like you better come proper, or
right.
His TM will pull you like mid set. They'll just pull you, So you really have to be prepared for a variety of things. I have crates for everything, like, Doors Open, mid-tempo, build records, hotter records, bring it back down records. Like you have to be really, really well prepared. That hasn't changed over the years. Like the level of preparation hasn't changed. It's just sometimes the nights have a little bit,
Love it, man. And then Discognition, when you were opening, what were some things that like you focused on?
Like I said, I was getting booked for a lot of different types of nights, from Lane 8 to Party Favor. You have those types of nights where you think, well, what kind of crowd is going to be there? Who can I expect that's going to walk through that door? And so for me, I would always kind of go through, my favorite tracks, just say, hey, what tracks do I always play, in a given genre? And I would say, all right, this is on, the same label, so I'm not going to play that, or, but I like to kind of take my time and really build out my set, track by track. That's kind of something that I like to do. I feel like if you're better prepared, you can't screw it up. I used to play open format back in Athens, and I would always wing that. 4 hours of music you can wing, especially open format, throwing some T-Pain and some 50 Cent or whatever the hell. But when you're opening for these bigger guys and they do have agents that ask for specific types of music, you have to plan it. And I know some people, rag on DJs that plan their sets. But when you are playing for these bigger guys, you have to. You just have to. So like I said, I plan track by track. My set is an hour long. I would put, 12, 13, 14 tracks in my crate, play it through, see how close it was to an hour, set my cue points, and that way there's no mistakes. I get up there and I build a good set and hope that it goes well over the night. I think that's, I think people should plan more often. You plan any project that you do, and a DJ set is technically a project. And as a project manager, that's kind of how my mind goes, is you have to plan, man, because if you leave things up to chance, you can mess it up, and I don't like to do that.
Where people get confused? They confuse planning and pre-recording, and they're two fundamentally different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really like both those answers, just because I've done both for opening sets, and I think different shows require different levels of preparation. So open format, like you were saying, Dominic, might require more like of a crate focused preparation, whereas Discognition, if you're opening for Eric Prydz, I agree, having the my hour, every minute of my hour is planned out. It makes a little bit more sense. So I guess, if you're listening to this, DJs, and you're like, oh, which one is it? Try both. If the artist plays more open format, maybe you should be more crate focused. If it's something where you feel like they're planning out what they're going to do, or they're going to have a certain vibe that they really want you to stay to, or you feel less comfortable, maybe that's where you plan your sets. Corrupt, you have as much, if not probably more, experience of doing opening sets. I know you want to say something about this.
I think you guys both made great points. I only caught the end of Discognition because I got disconnected. But
Hey.
Got him.
No, so I was just gonna say, like Dominic said, if you can, obviously you want to meet the artists anyway, and they're gonna love it if you ask them if there's anything you want to avoid, or anywhere you want to leave them off, or anything like that. But also, a lot of these guys have writers that you can get well in advance that will tell you in the notes, like, don't play this BPM, or don't play this label, or all that stuff. So but it is all depending on the show, because every artist is different. Like he said, like a lot of those older guys, they come from a slow building of the night. They want to create a story from a very chill pace sometimes, and so you just got to kind of prepare in that sense.
one more question for Discognition, and I got one more for Dominic. I just want to know, you made some lifestyle changes when you moved out to Cali, and I see the results of that now, and it's I feel like it's been building the last 2 years. I just wanted you to talk about maybe some of the lifestyle changes you made once you moved from Ohio to Columbus, and maybe a few takeaways.
Yeah, so when I moved out to California, I got really involved with my health. I went vegan actually 3 years ago, and a lot of people, make fun of vegans and like, oh, how do you know if somebody is vegan? Oh, they'll tell you when you didn't ask. But it's actually it's super important, eating right. And what I failed to realize is how much your diet actually can affect your mental health. And it has helped me immensely just knowing that, my body, when I wake up, I feel good, I feel cleaner, I'm more energetic. And that lifestyle in Los Angeles it's a lot easier to lead a vegan lifestyle in LA. But actually, Columbus is one of the most vegan-friendly cities in the country. I think it's like top 10. A lot of people don't know that. And just if you're not, no one has to be vegan, but I do encourage people to just eat right. That is such a big thing, and the people who are into fitness can definitely attest to that. I don't work out. I hate working out. I don't go to the gym. I can't stand it. So I get my steps in by walking the dog, and then I just make sure that I eat right. And I've also recently started doing a lot of yoga. And I was, again, one of those people that was like, I'm not doing yoga. That's like for white girls. And, it was one of those things where I started to do it. And I was like, if you just set your preconceived notions aside, right? And you look at that stuff for what it really is, it's, how can I eat right? And how can I, stretch and keep my body feeling young?
Dad, have you read this yet?
Eat to Beat? No, I haven't.
It's so good, man. I think you would really enjoy it. And I love that you are vegan because there's so much benefits to be a vegan, but I also love that you're not pushing people to just go straight vegan, because I think that I think you can be healthy and eat healthy and not be vegan. It's just, it takes a lot of work and a lot of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's great for you, man, because it's not about, like, fitness is a whole different thing.
Right.
Making sure you're eating right, and that's going to help you feel good. It's going to help with so many other things. It's going to help with your sleep. I think that's awesome that you do that.
Yeah.
If they would have just called yoga athletic stretching, we'd all be doing it. Go ahead, Chad.
Dude, it's true. It's crazy as DJs. We're all out till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And the only things that are open is like pizza and fucking DPO
Taco
and
Bell.
Yeah, Taco Bell. And I was like 230 pounds. And just by simply switching to a plant-based diet, I dropped 50 pounds, and I'm at like my normal weight, and it feels good. But it does take discipline. But you see DJs all the time get out of the club and they go straight to White Castle and Taco Bell and that stuff. And when you're putting that garbage essentially in your body, you wake up the next day and your mindset isn't there. You're feeling the effects of your food and any drinking you did the night before. You feel that effects, and you carry that into your next day for X amount of hours. And it's just super important to lead a healthy lifestyle for so many reasons. People say, well, I'm relatively healthy, but they don't think about how it actually affects them. And when we're all in our 40s and 50s, we're going to be thanking our 30-year-old selves, saying, you know what, I appreciate you because I had a hard time getting off the couch today or whatever, but I know that extra salad I had instead of the Taco Bell is helping me now. So,
man, I think we're just trying to get through 2020, let alone get to 40. But Dominic, I know a lot of what you do in your day job focuses on health. I wanted you to have a chance to touch on this.
Yeah, I've been really pleased, and I wish I would have gotten I wish I would have gotten as interested in my physical and mental health as I am now 5-10 years ago, right? Like you always wish you could go back and talk to your 18, 19, 20, really 21, 22 was like a really bad time for me. You know, I mean, you're talking about poor choices and poor lifestyle. It's almost remarkable that you make it out of that time and you don't always have to do like permanent damage. I think we've had some reminders, especially this year, of not just the importance of physical health, which, you know, seeing the trends, even in the DJ community. I mean, James and Mike, you guys, yeah, I'm sure you've seen this. You have artists coming in now, you know, guys that are, you know, maybe a little close to our age, or they've been on the scene, you know, a couple of years, young guys, you know, they want to come in, they want to have a nice dinner. If they're in town early, they want to go on a run. They want to do like, you know, where's the gym nearby? So to me, like there's been a marked change, even especially in the past 5 years, of guys who are touring who have recognized that they're not going to make it to 40 and 50 at this pace if they don't take care of themselves now. So that's been really incredible to see. The other thing is, you know, if this year has taught us anything, it's that we need to be as focused on our mental health as we do our physical health. You know, I personally this year have gotten particularly interested in mindfulness activities. You know, working in higher education, you get access to, you know, faculty, and oftentimes they specialize in these things. I knew very little about it. But, you know, finding something that you can work into your routine every day to make yourself, and it sounds almost like corny to people when you explain it to them, but, you know, to be present. I try to tell people, you know, even if you just take 5 minutes to meditate, you can think about it like, if you're not meditating and you have all these thoughts and all this stuff going on in your head, you know, you're standing in the middle of a highway and cars are zipping by you, right? But if you take 5 minutes to meditate and be with yourself, you can be on the side of the highway watching the cars go by, and it almost becomes cathartic, you know. So if you can find a metaphor that makes people understand what you're trying to tell them, and if you could just tell, you know, impact one person, say, hey, try this out, man, it's really helped me. You know, if there's ever been a time to be more aware of it, the trauma that the DJ community, people in hospitality, the country, everyone right now, we need to be hyper aware of it and helping out each other, you know, where we can. It's just, it's very personal to me because it's a big part of my, you know, my day to day, you know.
100%. And then Dominic, I want to stick with you. What changes are there between the Columbus and Cleveland underground scene? So we talked to Bobby Boucher about the difference in like club scene. But I want to talk to you about like, you know, what hits harder in Cleveland versus Columbus, and have you had to adjust it all, or it's just house music?
You know, man, I have to be honest. Just like in life, you gotta call it out and know what you don't know. You know, I have to be, sorry, I lost focus on my camera. There we go.
It's all right.
There we go.
You're still handsome.
Thanks. I'm blurry. You know, there are guys in Cleveland who I would call, you know, like the underground scene, but really just to me, it's like-minded people who are passionate about a particular genre here and there, right? You get little pockets of things. Back in the day, it was Cumulus and Eric Evasion. It was a lot of, you know, really bass heavy shows. I never played that way. I always liked it. I never played that way. I would go, but I would never play the shows. They used to do like winter warm up. I don't know if you guys remember all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, now at the Agora before like the remodel and all that stuff, you know, now my real exposure is going to see like there's you know, John Doe and Wolftown and like they're in Critical, and like there's guys now, a younger group of guys who have come up and are doing their own events. Again, I go, but I would really have to like shout them out as saying like, you know, if I'm in the clubs all the time, right? It's like Forward, Magnolia, Seesaw, it's like whatever, like properties, wherever they have me, those guys are doing like, you know, they're at a Glow and Flow, they're at a warehouse, they're at a party, they're at a whatever. Where there's some crossover is when I get to, like, for example, I came down here and got to open for Green Velvet, which was like, man, it was killer. Like, I love Green Velvet. I love Green Velvet, Maya Jane Cole's, like, I love techno. But I don't get to play a lot of those shows, right? Like I can't go into Forward or Mag and play like a deeper techno set. It's just like not. I just can't. Kind of like Chad, you were talking about you don't get to play trance a lot. Like I don't get to play that way a lot. So when I do get to play that way, man, that was special, and that's where there's a lot of overlap because I get to not only be involved in the events, but see everyone and play them. I think that was at Scully's. I think when I came down here to play that one, that was a fun one.
I had you at Dahlia for a few house shows. I don't know who it was though.
Yeah, and if we're, I guess it's important to point out, like I think we did a Will Clark show at Dahlia, right? So there were a couple of those. That stuff is seemingly working more and more in more commercial spaces. Like that G house, bass house, like that house, those like houseier records. Some of the other stuff, really bass heavy stuff and techno, still like you can't always book it at least not like the clubs I can play. But I don't really think there's a huge like fundamental difference in like the interest or the passion or what events are necessarily going on. Plus I don't think I've been in Columbus long enough to really like identify that. I don't feel well enough equipped to necessarily talk about it. You asked me about a table or a nightclub, like I'm happy to chat with it about it.
I want to go into like general DJ news and topics here. S11 came out last week. We touched on it a little bit last week. I feel like I have a better understanding of it now. But Dominic, specifically, I wanted to ask you, I'm guessing you're a DJM 900 Nexus 2 guy, but did you look at the S11 at all?
Yeah, man, I follow Cleveland Terry on YouTube.
Same.
He's like the funniest dude, man. I love that. And we have, as far as like, musical tastes and how we play, basically nothing in common other than we both DJ, but I like his style and his info. There's a couple things that he pointed out. Now I've been on playing on USBs for like years now. I haven't brought a laptop, and I'm not saying that to sound one way or another. It's just how I chose to play, So like a battle style mixer, like an S11 is not something I'd ever request.
Okay.
I played on an S9 a few times, and I remember, you play on a 900 enough and you switch mixers, you almost feel like disoriented, right? You're almost relearning on the spot. There's a couple cool things though that I think are really interesting that I wish they would bring to the 900. I think they had like this duck echo basically that's activated by the volume fader. So there's like the way that they have it, the integration with the hardware and software allows like certain effects to be triggered by the hardware itself in the way that you would be naturally doing it, which I thought was really interesting. And then there was this other echo effect that he was talking about that it's the only piece of hardware doing it. And it's basically taking an echo out of one song being triggered by a volume fader and triggering it when you bring in the next record, even if it's a different BPM, the tail will shift BPMs. The echo itself will shift BPMs as you're bringing that new record in.
That's sweet.
And there's to my knowledge, no way to accomplish that right now. He said the same thing on a DJM or anything. This is like the only mixer that can do it. And when he was demoing it, I was like, holy shit, man, especially if you're doing, a more open format set, like it can kind of change the way that you play. You know what I mean?
All those transitions.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting.
And then I think we are losing iTunes Music in the update for Mac. So I haven't updated my Mac in probably 2 or 3 iterations. It does everything that I need it to do. But I think we're losing iTunes Music. I want to know, how are you guys currently organizing your music? And do you think this will affect DJs? And do you think this will push us into a streaming mode? Or you think we're going to stick with the status quo? Start with Chad.
So I used to organize all of my music through iTunes, and I only recently, I didn't even know iTunes Music was going away, actually, until you said that like earlier this week.
Surprise!
Yeah, so I recently started organizing all my music through Rekordbox, because I was like, what I was doing was I was, buying my music or downloading it however I was getting it. I was putting it into iTunes and sorting it that way, and then basically dragging that into Rekordbox, and then I would like rearrange my crates however I wanted it for whatever show I was playing. But I was like, I could literally just eliminate this step here, iTunes. And the only thing I do with iTunes, honestly, is convert waves to MP3s, which I don't even need iTunes to do that. But yeah, I think that we are moving towards a more streamable platform as a music culture. And actually, I just started my own vlog, and I'm doing like posting an episode, and I think the top 2 things I said, it was like a top 5 ways you can help DJs and producers during the pandemic, and the top 2 things were Spotify and Beatport. And I think that as far as music organization goes, for DJs, I think everyone should be organizing their music in Rekordbox or Serato, honestly, because iTunes isn't really helping DJs anymore, as far as organization now. It could have just been the way that I was using it. But I think the public really uses Spotify for music listening purposes, but DJs, I think they should just be organizing their music in whatever, software they're going to be using.
I just want to respond to that real quick before we go to Dominic. I will say that having your music organized in iTunes is really beneficial if you plan on going back and forth between Rekordbox and Serato. So if I have my iTunes library set up the way I want to, I can import it into Serato, and then it's exactly the same from iTunes to Serato. And then let's say I have a flash drive show that I'm playing, I can do the same for Rekordbox, where it shows your iTunes library, and then now it's also in Rekordbox. So that's the only time where I was if you
Serato goes to Rekordbox and both go to each other as well.
Wait, Serato goes to Rekordbox now. Like you can copy your folders over, and it's all the same.
You highlight and drag.
Oh, okay, cool.
The last time I tried that didn't work. It's been a while, but I had looked into seeing how you could get your Serato crates, because when I was DJing with my laptop, I was like, how do I get all these crates into Rekordbox so I can store them on my USB? But
I think you have to create and name a folder, but then you just drag what's in there over. So I don't think you can actually just like click a crate and drag the crate. You just got to highlight everything, and it'll put it in order. It'll have everything. It'll analyze quickly, and yeah.
Good to know. Dominic, how are you organizing your music currently?
Yeah, how much time you got?
Oh, you're like me, man. I like this.
I have a lot of really strong feelings about this. I'll start from the top. First thing is, and I don't mean to come in too hot, but there's a few things that I think, especially if there's someone who's just starting out, that I think is really important to know. The first thing is, I haven't used iTunes so I'm on Catalina now. Big Sur's coming out here soon. I updated to Catalina. I've been a Mac user for 15 years, a long time. The integrations were broken. It had to do with the way the XML libraries were handled, but it happened in Catalina. So if you upgraded to Catalina and you were using Apple Music, your integrations were broken pretty quickly. Rekordbox came out with a fix, but it wasn't perfect. And that was a big indicator to me. And I didn't want to be reliant on, although it makes sense in theory to be relying on a centralized database for your music. And I do agree with you, Chad, that we are, as a society, moving towards consuming our music via streaming platforms. I feel very strongly right now that there's a fundamental difference between the way DJs should be handling their music purchasing and organization and the way consumers generally do, right? As a DJ, I don't know about you guys, but I will never, at least not in the short term, rely on club Wi-Fi to stream records in a live setting. Not going to happen, right? So those like Beatport links, all those integrations, at least for me personally, no way. I don't care how much they tout the stability or accessibility of like those records. The second thing is, I've been using Rekordbox to organize my music for a long time. Chad, I'm with you on that. I think it does an excellent job as for library management. I think between like, you could set up smart crates. You can handle my tags. You can do all sorts of things. Of course, it does become more complicated if you're using multiple pieces of DJ software. I actually just came across, and Mike, you might be interested. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's called Record Cloud. And basically what it does, it has a companion app. You upload your library, not the actual files, but the information to the companion app, and then it will do the conversions for you. The nice thing is it constantly keeps the two programs in sync, so you don't have to be dragging or dropping or anything. And it worked really well. I don't use Serato, but just for like shits and giggles, I was like, I wonder if this thing works. And it's like a testament to, I actually used it. It actually works. It does a really nice job. My workflow generally is buy records from Beatport usually, or, there's a few record pools that I used to, like Live DJ Service, Headliners Music Club. I know you guys have talked about record pools before.
Yep. They
They all have pros and cons. Run them through Mixed in Key. Once they're run through Mixed in Key, drop them into Record Box, and then we're off to the races. Export to flash drive. That's been, over the years, I have taken out as many variables as I can along the way. Like removed a computer, removed iTunes, simplifying my workflow. So the focus is preparing for the set, putting on a good show, and not like what wonky thing is happening, that I don't understand.
I think that feature where you can get a track instantly on your Serato should just be used as like an emergency or request type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with him. Like if you're relying on Wi-Fi to play your music, like that can just go horribly wrong. That's just an unnecessary risk.
Yeah.
James, do you want to take us into show and tell?
Yeah, guys. So basically, we just do a quick segment to switch topics here, and you guys, it can be DJ, non-DJ related, something around you that's special to you. I mean, Dominic, if you just want to show your hair to us, I'm totally cool with it.
Actually, I
give
wanted
us your secrets.
Your product,
Mike. I don't know if you can make me a co-host. I wanted to share my screen and show something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I after I moved, I don't have, like, I thought about grabbing passes and stuff, but everything's in storage. But I did find, you wanted to see something special to me, right? So
Yeah.
I believe you're hosting now.
All right, cool. So I'll show you just real quick. This is the first one. I got two. This is the first one. I don't know if you could see this.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I dug this up today. For me, like, old flyers are really meaningful, and this was the first. We booked Cruella at Liquid back in 2012, and it was right around this time. So it got me like a little emotional, right? This was the first like bigger show that I got to open for. I remember how nervous I was. It was like a big turning point for me. Met Jahan and Yasmin and like the Cruella girls. So this was really special, like this particular show. So this is what I wanted to show everyone. And then the second one, now, Chad, this one's for you a little bit, because I took a peek at your Instagram story, or one of your Instagram stories, and I noticed that you had worked with an old friend of mine. So I don't know if this will make you laugh or not. You see this?
Jeff, the dude.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, and this was back in 2013. So when I saw it, I went, holy shit. I was like, Jeff and Chad are doing some work together, because Jeff's one of the best producers that I know. So I thought I wanted to give him a shout, give you a shout, and just see if you
Yeah, Jeff is the man, the Cleveland dude. Everyone always asks me how I know Jeff. I'm like, Cleveland, man. Cleveland's everywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
dude, that's our first flyer show and tell. I love that.
I like that too. Yeah.
What you got, Chad?
So since I'm away from my house, I don't have a lot, but I do have something that I always wear since I got it. So I don't know if you guys can see all these wristbands, but this one is Elliptical Sun Music and Juna Family Worldwide. So
nice.
I had, since I've been live streaming has been awesome. I used to hate it. I thought it was super dumb. People on Facebook getting things taken down after 10 seconds. I was like, I don't know why anybody puts any effort and time into this. But in 2020, it's been like literally paramount, for so many people. And I'm here today to admit I was super wrong about live stream DJing. And ever since I started doing it, I had some people that I didn't know just hitting me up like, dude, who are you? I've never heard of you. And I've been super fortunate to be able to stream and do my residency of a live stream, if you want to call that, with the Anjuna Family LA chapter. So I've gotten a lot of people that contact me. Well, one of the guys, his name is Michael Davis. He's just like one of the most genuine people that I've ever had the pleasure of talking to. He basically sent me this care package. He saw one of my sets and he was like, yo, I got all these custom wristbands I've made. He's like, you're awesome. And I just want you to have these. And so I've got like 30 of these Anjuna Family Worldwide wristbands at home that I'm just going to be, giving to people when I go to shows and things like that. But he sent me this Elliptical Sun music wristband specifically because I had my first single with Elliptical Sun Recordings, Elliptical Sun Melodies, of 2.5 weeks ago. And it was my first track with them, and I've been working towards it for like 2.5 years. And so having this wristband is like a constant reminder of that, like, perseverance and really trying. And Dominic Jeff is one of the guys. He was A&R for Elliptical Sun, and he was working with me for 2 years and kicking my ass, telling me, yo, do this, do this, do this, you're doing this wrong, do this. And it finally happened for me, and that track got all the way up to number 14 on the Beatport hype charts. So I was stoked about that. So yeah, man,
That's special, man.
This wristband right here is just from some dude who saw me play, and I had an impact on him, and that's huge. I'll never take that for granted. That's been awesome.
Good for you. That's awesome.
The perseverance thing you're talking about, man, is absolutely key. Music production is not easy. The basics are pretty easy, but to actually make a hit or something that's radio ready is very, very hard. And then that part is hard. And then you have to do the promotion side of it. So I saw a tweet from a fellow DJ earlier this weekend. It's like, oh, I thought I made a banger and no one responded to it. So maybe not. And it's like, man, it's disheartening because, you see stuff like that. But you really got to understand that most people that I talk to when they're producers, it takes them 5 years before they feel like their track is even radio ready. And then you find your style. So there's, that's just fine. That's just making the music somewhat good. And then you have to find your style. Then you have to find your niche. And then you have to figure out how to promote your music. So, to any DJ or producer that feels like, man, I feel like my music's good. Why isn't anyone responding? Why isn't anyone playing it? Just keep making it. Keep practicing, keep honing your sound, and just persevere, because it's not easy. It's not easy at any stage in the process, except the beginning, where you figure out that you could put, drums, and 3 instruments in the same key over each other and, have something that sounds somewhat good, but it's not radio ready. So big shout out to you, Chad. I understand. I know how long you've been working towards that. And I think that's a great show and tell. What have you guys been listening to? James, I always get to you at the end, but I want to start with you first, man. What you been listening to lately?
You know what? I've been on 1001 track lists a lot, trying to dig because I have a lot of house shows coming up with Noizu tomorrow. I've got Shipwreck next week, and I'm just trying to find some things. I'm trying to stay off the Beatport charts, just because I've been enjoying the Beatport charts, and I've been playing a lot of those house tracks, but just trying to find some new tracks and make some new edits. And I don't have a specific artist for you right now, but if you give me 1 second, there is a producer that I think it's here. I'm opening Serato. It opens super quick. 1 second.
Oh, good.
Isn't it funny that I use Serato to organize my music, but I don't use Scratch Live at all? Okay.
Dad, I got so much respect for you, man, with that record and Beatport. I know how hard it is. I actually don't know how hard it is. Never even come close to what you accomplished. But man, all love. That's a huge accomplishment.
Dude. It was my first Beatport chart, track charter, and actually, some relatively giant news, I guess. I had a track that was signed to Nora and Pure's label, Purified.
Yep.
And she just played that on her Purified episode 217 this week.
Nice, man.
So
wow, dude, huge.
That's like my first major radio support that I've had, and a couple of other guys, even here in Columbus, dude. Entel is rocking the DJ support circuit. Christoph, Dash Berlin, he's getting all types of support, and he's one of my dudes. And I'll say it first here. Nobody's heard this yet, but Entel and I have a collaboration coming out on AVA Deep. So that's going to be coming, and that's a pretty big new label. AVA is all about uplifting, and they decided to take their talents to the deep house like everyone else. So another Columbus guy, me and Entel, we got a collab coming there. But Nora and Pure played my fucking track, and that's awesome. I can't even believe that.
Big
We all love Nora, man. That's awesome. That's huge.
Hey, Chad, I gotta yell at you for a little bit though. Anytime you have a release, you gotta make sure you put it on the Earcrux radar so we can help push it out. I got the one with you and Entel not too long ago, but please make sure that you're sending it so we can help promote it. We love what you're doing out there.
You said put it where? I didn't hear what you said.
So you can find it in the YouTube description. You can just message me, bro. You got my number. Like, you can just tell me, hey, listen to my shit.
Yeah.
But I follow everyone on Spotify, but sometimes I don't get the notifications ever after watching The Social Dilemma. But just make sure if you any producers text us, message us, leave comments in the show notes so we can put your elevate everyone's music and give it a platform.
Send away, man.
James, were you going to give us that track?
We love Entel. The Bad Jokes is the producer. You guys heard of them?
I've not.
No.
It's like bass. It's like a bass house. A lot of confessions. DJs are playing him, but they have a ton of tracks on Beatport. It's just Bad Jokes. Very unique sound. I really like it.
Good. Dominic, what you been listening to, man?
We get to ask you guys a question at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
All right, good. Then I won't jump into it. You know what I guess kind of relates to the question I'm going to ask you, but quarantine was interesting because it kind of allowed me to explore some things, like get out of what would be kind of your normal routine. And I've been really into, I always like techier stuff. But there's a couple of guys that I've been now like religiously watching their live streams. I don't know if you probably know James Hype, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a monster, like from a technical standpoint and like records that he plays. And a lot of them you could play out in clubs too. So it's like from an artist perspective, someone I'm like religiously watching their live streams. He's definitely one of them. I've been really digging a lot of what Purple Disco Machine's been putting out this year. Like,
yes,
they're like Magic and Hypnotized and their Ocean Drive remix and like all that stuff. I was a fan before, but I don't know, man. They've been on
they've just been killing it, dude.
He's been on a hot streak, yeah. And then like I've been listening to a lot of like Don't Blink, Martin Eichen, Ender, like that kind of stuff too. So it's maybe a little techier, like in my free time. Not necessarily what I've been playing, but what I've been listening to.
All good.
Chad?
I've been kind of listening to a lot of deeper stuff. I do want to put one producer kind of up on a pedestal. He's a recent good friend. His name's Devin, and he goes under the alias Houseman, Hausman. And he went to Berkeley, College of Music. This dude, I'm telling you, I found him randomly on Spotify, and he just takes you on a journey. He makes deep house, chill, trance. He's on Enhanced. He's on Silk Music. He is everywhere, and he's definitely coming soon. There's not a track that dude makes that can't fit somewhere in anyone's set. You know, he that's one of his big things is he says, I don't want to typecast myself into one label where I'm making one type of music. He's like, I want to be able to be in a, you know, my music can be in a deep house set. My music can be in a techno set. You can throw me in big room. Like, he's awesome. But I've been listening specifically to a lot of deep house housemen, and under Beatport's charts, they kind of came up with a new genre that I had never heard of called organic house. Dude, I didn't even.
Really?
I've never heard of that. And they're like, "Oh, who's charting on the organic house charts today?" Dude,
Man, some of this is getting taken too far, isn't it?
Seriously, I don't even know what organic house
is. It good?
Dude, it's good. It's really good. It's kind of like tribal. They have all the congas and bongos and stuff, and it's just like, it's those tracks that you can like hit play on, let it ride for like 6 minutes, and then transition out. But it's always got a consistent groove. It's more than techno, but less than like progressive house. So it's just like, it's in between those two where you just get that groove going. So I encourage everyone to check out Organic House.
I'm checking it out after
dude,
this.
It's like,
that sounds amazing.
I saw it and I was like, this isn't real. There's no way this is real. And then it's like on Beatport, and I'm like, all right, I gotta check out what Organic House is. So
I'm gonna make one tribal house track and then change my Instagram bio to Organic House.
Dude, do it.
You gotta be organic corrupt.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah.
I've been on a gangster hip hop vibe, so I'm like creating like this perfect gaming playlist from because I'm going to be doing more streaming of games, and because I'm not worried about, like, small streamers don't really worry about like people looking at your VOD, so I'm kind of creating like this perfect like hip hop gaming playlist. So it's like a lot of Future, a lot of Lil Baby, NWA, Ice Cube, Snoop, just kind of like the gangster hip hop like from 90s to now, and just all shuffled up. So that's kind of what I'm listening to lately. And
just
then
don't do all Drake like FaZe.
Oh no. I like Drake a lot, but like I like Drake's albums. It, like, to me, if I'm gonna listen to Drake, I want to listen to an album because I like the way he puts his albums together. But all singles, it's just like, okay, well, now we're at the club.
Yeah, basically.
So, yeah,
that's
dude,
cool.
I'll be real with you. I think my advice, you know, for a lot of DJ producers, stop listening to dance music for a little bit, man. Because I know that I get into dance music so hard, and I just like, I'm always looking for music, but you know, inspiration comes from everywhere.
Sure,
100%.
So it's important to listen to the classics, listen to old stuff, and you know, my girlfriend listens to like a lot of folk music, but like Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros, dude,
talented,
so good. Saw them live at the Greek Theater in LA, and it was awesome. But it's important to listen to other stuff.
You know what's crazy is years ago at Sway, I opened for Sander Van Doorn. It's one of my favorite all-time shows. He came over. We after partied with him. Super nice guy. And we're just on my computer going through music, and he's like, "Oh, you got to check out this song." I'm like, "Dude, I'm so excited. He's about to show me some like house track that I've never heard." And it's like this real underground Moombaton. And he's just like, "Dude, this gives me so much inspiration." I'm just like, okay.
Not what you expect out of Sander Van Doorn, right?
Yeah, like, so you're right though, man. Because I know a lot of house DJs that are like, "No, I only listen to house. Everything else is like bleh." It's like, all right.
So much good music in all genres, and then there's a genre for every mood, and there's a mood for everything. So sorry, I'm gonna say it again. Discognition kicked us off with some advice, but this is gonna be tips for listeners. Hopefully these guys are gonna enlighten us with some tips that maybe we haven't heard before. And since Discognition's already started us off, I want to go to Dominic and then go back.
Oh, me first?
Yes, please.
Is this for DJs, like new DJs, or for listeners?
For any DJs, so it could be tips for new DJs, you know, seasoned vets, anything.
No, yeah, you know, I said it before. I'll say it again, man. You don't end up, and all you guys know this now, but you don't end up being able to play for 2, 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years without really being a decent, thoughtful, nice human being. You know, like I said, the music and the talent is table stakes, but I really do think that we need to make an effort to, especially if you're a young DJ. You know, I know you guys talked about this in another one of the episodes, but just about going above and beyond when you're working with clubs and staff and all that kind of, all that kind of stuff, helping out at the end of the night, like that kind of thing, when you're given an opportunity, that stuff goes a long way. But to me, if I could offer any one advice, it's like really, really focus on the introductions, and then nurturing and cultivating those relationships with people. I think it's paramount. It's a number one thing. Like, you'll learn the music, you'll get better, but be a good person.
I like that. It's like a lot of the tips we get, Mike, are always about something technical, prepare down, like, make your own edits, that type of stuff. And like, it's so true that if you have a bad reputation, or you're just not a professional, like this is your career or a part-time career or whatever, like you have to take it serious. You have to introduce yourself. You have to be just a genuine person. I love that.
Yeah, James, how long have we known each other, man? It's a good example. Like, when you're in those relationships go a long way. Like, we might see each other before I moved down here. I still haven't seen you, but beforehand, you'd be in Cleveland 4 times a year, and I'd be like, I got to go see James. He's here.
We would
right?
grab, even if you couldn't, we would try to grab dinner or something.
Grab food or whatever. Like, and the first show we played together was at, Liquid in 2012 or something. It's just, I don't know, man.
That was
maybe
Paul Oakenfold too, wasn't it?
Oaken. You're right. Maybe this year it's becoming just more and more apparent, not just in your professional life, but in your personal life too. I think it's more important than ever to nurture those relationships, check on people, and do good.
Love it.
Sure.
Chad?
DISCOGNITION, back to you.
Yeah, I think my number one piece of advice, other than be a good person, that's good general life advice, but especially for DJs. In the words of the hardest working man in Athens, Ohio, DJ A-Rock, invest in yourself. If you're a DJ and you want to take this seriously at all, you have to invest in yourself. That's mentally, that's financially. I don't know how many people know this, but I took 2 years off of DJing. I only started DJing again horribly in March. As soon as COVID hit, I got back into it. But I've been producing through the whole thing, but I stopped DJing. I just wasn't mentally, I don't want to say capable, but I wasn't in a good place. I had moved to LA, and I was just trying to do all that stuff. But you have to be able to invest in yourself mentally, get yourself in the right mindset. And I would say, think of DJing as your full-time job. If you're going out and getting drunk and partying every night, and you're not really taking it seriously, then you're never going to be taken seriously. So invest in yourself, invest in your image, and financially, you do have to invest. It's an expensive, quote unquote, hobby. But a quick little story. I had a friend ask me, what I use for my live stream setup. I went out and bought an XDJ RX for a controller. I bought a tripod, a green screen. I bought all that stuff. And he was like, what do you use for your camera? And I was like, dude, I use my iPhone. And I bought the OBS app. It's $15. He's like, oh, I'm not really trying to spend $15 on an app. And I was like, yo, I mean, what do you want me to say to you? It's $15, and we have this notion as human beings, you'll go spend $5 on a Big Mac, but you won't spend $2 on an app, But I'm like, dude, this app, it's $15. You plug it in, it's ready to go. You don't have to worry about it. So invest in yourself, and you get what you pay for.
I mean, what camera were you gonna tell him that's under $15? I guess is my question. Like, obviously, if you can't afford it, $15, no problem with that. But if you're asking, hey, what camera are you using? Obviously, I think you're trying to say like, what camera should I use? And I don't know where you're gonna find a camera for $15 that's gonna work better than your phone.
Yeah, it's just if you're not willing to spend money on something you want to be really good at, then you're not really willing to be really good at it. And that's how I feel. But in the same breath, I want to make sure that this is conveyed correctly. You don't need the most expensive gear to be good at what you're doing.
Sure.
I don't want to say like, oh, you're only going to be good if you're spending. Like, I've never owned a pair of CDJs, never in my life. I buy controllers, and I spent $800 on my XDJ-RX, and that was even out of my budget. But you don't have to spend money on the most expensive gear, but get what you can afford, and then start there and keep building and investing in yourself. Because if you keep investing in yourself, other people will invest in you, and really buy into what you're doing. So invest in yourself, people. That's what I say.
What'd you think, Corrupt?
No, that's great, man. That's two like side angles. Great advice. Just not, different than our general advice. I want to give a shout out to B-Funk. I don't know if you guys did already. He's joining us, and he said that was gold ass advice.
B-Funk's looking forward to getting in Verdansk. Corrupt, we might have a
oh, really?
Actually, yeah, we're getting in tonight. You guys
are you guys playing zombie mode? Because I'm in if you are.
Yeah, dude, I'm loving that night mode.
Oh my gosh,
that's my
Dominic,
tip for listeners. Get on that.
You're not a gamer. I can I already know this, but like, don't do it. It takes too much time. Don't do it.
I kind of wanted to skip this. I don't know what Dominic's got for it. We call this the flip. This is questions or topics that we didn't get to cover, or stuff you want to ask us. And Dominic, I know you had something you wanted to ask us.
Yeah, I'm so curious, man. I don't know about you guys, but being away from nightclubs for me was if you have to find a silver lining, it was really good to kind of hit the reset button. When you're playing a lot, I don't know about you, but you get in the habit of like reaching for the same records or getting a couple of things that work well together. You stay up on charts and play. I found myself getting into things and especially doing Twitch live streams that I might never have done in a nightclub. So have you found yourselves being interested in different genres of music, or finding, opportunities to play that you wouldn't have done normally had we not been stuck at home? Have your musical tastes evolved or changed in any way?
Go ahead, Mike.
Has my musical taste evolved in any way? No, not really. I've been able to kind of diversify the different places I play so that I get to do a lot of different things. And then I was doing a little bit of streaming even before the pandemic, not nearly to the degree that I am now, but it was nice, especially when IG Live was a thing, to just be like, well, I haven't been able to play Afro beats anywhere, so let me play some Afro beats for a half hour, maybe some people join. So it hasn't changed my tastes. If anything, it's made me not a lazier DJ, but like I don't feel the need to really look through music right now. I get like kind of what I think I'll need, but it may not feel this way to some people. Music feels really stale to me, because the way I try to DJ is, I'll pick up a track and I'll try to envision, okay, when I play this track in the club, how are people going to react? Where's it going to fit in my set? Is this an 11 o'clock? Is it a 12 o'clock? Is it a 1 a.m. track? Where's it going to fit in my crates? And when I don't have that ability to test things, I feel very lost. So that, even if I have my skills, technicality, that feels good. I'm practicing more than I probably was before quarantine. But when it comes to how I feel like, you know, with the exception of WAP, but like there's other songs that have come out that maybe aren't WAP, where I'm not exactly sure how this is going to hit in the club, especially with all this like low energy hip hop that like some of it just happens to pop off like crazy, like the Lil Baby tracks, like the 21 Savages. Like to me, it's like a low energy track. And then that first time you play it, and then all of a sudden there's that one verse that everyone screams and you're like, oh shit, I played this way too early. So I feel very, not lost, but unsure about how all this music I've downloaded in the past 6 months actually works in a club. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, I like end of March, mid-March, after the Arnold Classic closed, and you know, my work, all my residencies shut down. I took a small break. Yeah, like I kind of mentally took a step back, and like for a few weeks, I needed it too. Honestly, it was kind of like, but I didn't know it was going to be as long as it was. I was like, all right, we're just going to shut down for 3 weeks and figure this out, you know? Yeah, right. So, but you know, the conversations that I was having was what are we going to play when we get back? You know, after a while, like all the DJs that I talked to are like what do we play? Like, do we just go back to what we were playing early March? Like, I guess throw in some of that, but like, have you been downloading music?
All the lost time.
Dude. And then honestly, a lot of the stuff I was downloading April and May and June was not even good. It was not, there was not a lot of good releases in my opinion. But in the back of my head, I was also hoping and preparing that Forest was still going to happen. So I was constantly listening to house music. So I was still preparing to play Electric Forest. That's any kind of work that I was doing was going into that. And then, but as far as like, just like, I did get into some new music, a lot of chill stuff, a lot of car riding, like instead of listening to club stuff in the car, which I would do sometimes on my way to work to kind of get awake and like, but now I'm just listening. Even now I'm listening to more like jam band stuff, chill house, R&B, like anything that just can kind of like calm my mind. So it has changed me. Like this whole thing has changed and helped me in a sense. And the live streaming, like you just said, like learning all that, like I would have never learned any of that. I would have never made a Twitch. Like, and I really feel like Twitch is not going to go away anytime soon. So like, I'm glad I got into that. I'm still learning everything, still learning OBS and all that stuff. But man, like it's not, I don't even know if I'm answering your question, but like musically, I haven't really changed too much, but I did start listening to some new music, but not like so much for playing it out.
Yeah, no, you're addressing. I think what I'm trying to more or less get at is like get a sense of your headspace and general approach over the past 6 months. Like I know for like me personally, as I mentioned, there's just some. I think when you get so caught up in what you're doing, if you're playing a lot of shows or whatever, you know, it's easy to get into a routine. And that long break kind of let me hit the reset button on a variety of fronts, you know, like what's important? What did I appreciate doing? What do I miss doing? What do I really like to listen to? What do I like to play? You know, all of that stuff, like that break, if there's a silver lining, you know, figuring out where things are falling in like their level of importance to me, you know, it was helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the opposite, I think, because where I think you were saying, like, the more you play shows, the more you get into a rhythm. To me, if I'm doing shows like weekly, I know, okay, I know what I played last week. I know what I played 2 weeks before. I know what I played like 3 weeks before that. And that's how I can make sure I'm not doing the same thing again. If I were, like, let's say, you know, coronavirus ends tomorrow and I'm back to DJing at, you know, basically, you know, 20 to 24-year-old nightclub every Thursday night, I feel like I'd have to hit the reset button. Like I would only hit the stuff that I know is going to work for like the first 3 weeks before I'm like, okay, now I need to go back and like, now it's almost like a reset button where I'm going to play really safe for 3 weeks. So I want to make sure the bar makes their money and brings me back and everyone's cool. And before I get to that point where like now I can start to add in some stuff like, hey, do you like this? Or let's take this left turn or and go around. So that's where I'm at, because I feel sad that I have to hit the reset button and play safe for 3 to 5 weeks.
I have a question for you guys. First, I'll start with Dominic. What's your secret, and how many gigs have you gotten because of your hair?
It is flawless, man. It's flawless.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. I've seen the transformations over the years. There's not one unhealthy strand of hair.
You know what, man? There's more and more gray coming. You probably can't see it. More and more gray.
But it's like the perfect amount of gray.
Dude,
like
he's got the George Clooney.
We could literally we could have just been at like a festival or like a big show, and we're all just sweaty and stuff, and his hair is just glowing. And
Man,
it made no sense.
You know, I have a buddy of mine who used to give me a hard time. He would come into the club, he would text me and be like, I can't find any of my friends, but I see your big stupid head from across the room.
Hey, Chad, you wake up tomorrow, you get an email from Taco Bell wanting to give you a sponsorship. What do? Go.
Ooh. No,
just messing with you.
Dude, I miss Taco Bell, but they got rid of all the good shit.
Apparently. I know.
So,
hey, you forward it to me. That's what you do.
Yeah, I forward it to Corrupt.
Damn.
I want it.
Where can people find you both online and in person? Start with Discognition.
Online, you can find me on the Anjuna Family LA Twitch channel. I'm getting back on my own Twitch for a monthly show called Friend Zone, where I'm only playing music from my producer friends. No big names, none of that, just the local guys, Columbus and LA. Facebook, Instagram. I don't use Twitter. Twitter's a wasteland of stuff that makes me depressed. So I don't use Twitter, but and I'm trying to build my YouTube channel back up. So by doing a video blog and things like that. And Mike, I have questions to ask you about video blogging, because I know that you're doing all that. But and Spotify for sure. Hit your boy up, Discognition.
Awesome. Dominic?
At Dominic Parisi, no spaces, no nothing, all one word on everything. Best place is Instagram generally, Facebook too. I'm on Twitch. I have a YouTube channel, Mixcloud, SoundCloud for mixes. I am on Twitter, but that's generally if you're interested in my view on politics or general state of our union. If you don't want to hear me rant and rave like a crazy person, then I'd avoid my Twitter account. But
that's what Twitter's for.
That's Twitter's for.
Yeah.
Follow you immediately.
If you're interested in music and fun, Instagram. If you want to doom scroll for a while, then Twitter's the move. But
the Twitter fuckery.
Yeah. And I do want to shout out. Go to my Instagram if you are interested in seeing Major Lazer next week. I'm really excited about this show. It's the first big show that I'm back since Corn. Big show, not like club show, like big show. It's a drive-in. Ticket link is in my bio. Use code Beach Boys for 10% off.
Wait, I'm serious. Is that in Columbus?
It is.
Yeah.
See, we don't have nothing is open in California. So where in Columbus is it? I want to go.
It's at the Westland Drive-In, the mall.
What day?
Thursday the 29th.
There's a rumor.
That's the day I'm supposed to leave. I might have to stay an extra day.
There's a rumor.
Dude, I'll be honest. Those drive-ins are a lot of fun.
There's a rumor that the Columbus DJ podcast will be hosting from there.
Oh.
There is a rumor.
What's that?
I said there's a rumor that the Columbus DJ podcast will be having the episode at the drive-in next week. Working on that right now.
Nice. Love it. Awesome.
Hey, I didn't get to ask my question, you guys.
Oh, yeah. That's because
Please
I
proceed.
rudely interrupted it. I'm sorry.
Really, it's really quick. I know the pandemic has been really hard just on all DJs and all entertainment. But I wanted to kind of switch it up and do something positive. What's something that you guys, James and Mike, have thrived doing that isn't necessarily music related during the pandemic? Since you haven't been able to play shows, you've had more time to kind of do maybe other things that you love to do. So what's something whether that's video games or whatever the hell, what's something you've thrived in doing?
I'll go ahead. I mean, honestly, I wanted to find a side hustle for a while. I was looking into possibly doing fitness training, but I'd rather just enjoy it as a hobby. Then I started to get into like day trading and all that and learning. I've been doing so much research on that, and I actually genuinely like doing it. I don't know why I like looking at charts and forecasts and reading about that stuff, but it's just, I wake up, I get a coffee, and I love doing it. So that's something that's been keeping me busy. And then, yeah, dude, Warzone has actually, I was never a big gamer. I started playing Warzone, had tons of fun with my friends, and I just like started playing another game. Like, I hope it doesn't lead to like me being a huge gamer, because it's just like 3 hours go by out of nowhere. But you know what? Like, it's been tons of fun, man. I'm trying to make anything positive happen this year. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I'm just trying to survive this year. I'm not really putting any pressure on myself. Any piece of content that I put out is like a pat on the back for me. This is kind of like Dominic said, just mental health is the focus right now. So as long as I'm happy and the people around me, I'm, influencing them positively, that's a win for 2020. I'm not putting any pressure on myself, but content, setting up my studios and trying to get all this looking and sounding good has definitely been a fun hobby. And then, yeah, a lot of Warzone and Squadrons just came out, and it's if they fix all these bugs and the ranked, I mean, I'm completely prepared to just like let the world just crumble around me and just play that game until my money runs out.
Also, Dominic and Chad, man, if you haven't watched Mike's tutorials on YouTube, you should check him out. It's insanely professional. This guy's, you can just tell he's passionate about everything he puts out. It's really amazing.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
I think is that it? All right, hold on. I forgot last week to do.
Good timing, because I got dinner rezos, boys.
Nice. Well, get out of here. All right, Dominic Parisi, Discognition. Thank you guys so much. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video so other DJs can find it. Subscribe if you want to see more podcast information, tutorials, gear reviews, anything like that. And I think that's it. You don't have to hit notifications. I think that's weird. But if you want to, you can. Corrupt, take us out.
Episode 29?
28.
Yep, I knew it. Thank you guys so much, man. Dominic, good catching up with you. Chad, we haven't talked, and it's been great. Let's keep in touch. Send us your music, man. Definitely, we'll post it on here. Yeah. Dominic, I'm sure I'll see you soon, man. Let's get a dinner. I'm glad you're all settled in. I'm glad you're enjoying Columbus.
I'm hoping to catch your set next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
I miss you guys. I'm so appreciative that you guys asked us to come on. I really am. It was a great welcome down here. So thank you. And Chad, nice to meet you, brother.
Yeah, Dominic, nice to meet you. I know I'm not in Columbus anymore, but thank you for having this LA transplant come through and do my thing for my hometown. So thank you guys so much for having me. Seriously.
Hell yeah,
all right, fellas. Enjoy dinner, Dominic. Peace.
Thank you, man.
Hey, see you later, guys.